Yeah, good morning, viewers. Today we do have actually the editorial sessions, but conventionally before starting with we have some good words, some I can say thought of the day, and we do have some keywords here which can really make our life more beautiful and more accountable. So it's like a rule. Make it a rule. Less TV, more reading. Less clutter, more space. Less haste, more slowness. Less concerns, more creativity, less harmful, more healthy food, less stress, more self care, less driving, more walking, less noise, more privacy, less excitement, and more smiles. So, these are some of the rules which can really make our life more beautiful and more charming. So, let's switch to our Hindu editorial page, our Hindu editorial session, I think. So, good morning, learners all. So, let me give a brief to all of you what actually the today's editorial is all about. It's actually about Somalia. Somalia is an African country. Actually, Somalia is currently facing a political crisis. Political crisis in the sense, although there is a democratic setup in place, there is elected government, there is elected president, but at the same time, there is some mutual bickering, there is some clan based strife going on. In the middle, some terrorist group took an undue advantage. The terrorist group, namely Al Shabaab is actually Al Qaeda affiliated terror outfit, outfit rather. Al Qaeda affiliated terror outfit. So it is taking undue advantage of it. It do have some conditions, and it's creating mess. It's creating strife. It's creating crisis in the region. So one more thing here is it's actually creating this clan-based crisis is spread in whole of the, you can say, Horn of Africa. Actually, Horn of Africa, it means, because I want to give a little bit detail so that you can understand the editorial session in an easy manner. Horn of Africa, it constitutes actually, these are actually five countries, okay? Five countries. The name of the countries is like Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Djibouti, and Somalia. How to remember these countries? Like it's like seeds. 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 S means Sudan. E means Eritrea. E means Ethiopia. D means Djibouti. S means Somalia. Means seeds. So what is special? Why these countries are actually called Horn of Africa? Somalia is the biggest one, I can say. It plays more role in it. These are actually easternmost regions of Africa. In the African continent, these are easternmost countries. Okay, these countries are called Horn because these countries have horn-like landmass. Okay, and at the same time, there remains always a continuous conflict in these countries between these clans. Actually, there is some groupism. They are fighting each other for the government. Okay, in the midst, terror groups are taking undue advantage, and they are creating the strife. And at the same time, it is becoming a challenge for international bodies how to control this kind of situation, this kind of conflict in these regions. At the same time, everyone knows that Africa continent lies very close to the equator. Once you say equator, means it is hot bed of diseases, drought, famine. So lots of diseases are there. Even chikungunya and all those other viruses, they had actually got birth. Actually, they had got originated from these equator, countries, equatorial countries, you can say. So let's move straightly to the editorial session. So fight for survival. Okay, fight for survival. So the here the line goes actually fight for survival. Okay, on Somalia's fight against terror, the international community must back Somalia in its fight against terror. So as I was saying, that Somalia is going through a very crucial zone. Terrorists are attacking the terrorist group, namely called Al Shabaab, which is Al Qaeda affiliated terror outfit. They had been attacking Somalia. Okay, because they had been taking undue advantage that political you can say instability. So let's move down, scroll down. Yeah, the delicate means actually fragile, or you can say subtle. I will give you an example. Delicate, how you can use the delicate. I will give you an example. Don't touch the glass so hard, it is delicate, it will break down. Means what is actually so delicate, so fragile. Fragile means if you touch it more, it will get breakdown. Okay, that's called a delicate. So the delicate but peaceful transition. Transition means actually, again, I will say transition means the intermediate part. Means if there is war, then there is ceasefire. Again, I will give you an example. In between Pakistan and India, there are sometimes tensions. Okay, so if there is tension, now government comes into fore. It is doing some ceasefire agreement. Once it does the ceasefire agreement, this is called the transition zone. Means between two wars, there is some zone which is peace. Okay, which is some period that's called peaceful period. Okay, so if that's called a transition, it's called a peaceful transition. Here, the delicate but peaceful transition of power in Somalia earlier this year, after the delayed but successful completion of legislative and presidential elections, okay, had raised hopes. It's the author is trying to say, although elections, I can say, I'm saying you legally elections were held, although late, but and legislative and presidential elections had been held. When the elections had been held, it had raised hopes among the international community as well as among the civilians. Then now there will be a peaceful transition in the between. Means there will be a peace now, because there had been already strife. Now here, once elections are held, means it's a peaceful transition. It's a hope, like it's a ray of hope that now peace will prevail. But actually what happened? Completion of legislative and presidential elections had raised hopes that the conflict stricken. What actually does this mean? It means violence, conflict. Okay, it means like an area that has been affected by the conflict or war. So conflict, stricken means which is war torn, where violence, or you can say disorder, is common. Okay, so had raised hopes that the conflict stricken country means what? Somalia. It's giving a sign of Somalia country. Okay, that the conflict stricken country in the Horn of Africa. Horn of Africa, I told you what is actually the meaning of Horn of Africa, and a region which constitutes 5 countries, and Somalia is one among them. So that's why it is indicating about about, I can say, Somalia was finally moving towards some political stability. So again, the country which was conflict striking, once the elections had been conducted there, we can say the procedural, you can say elections with due procedure, you can say there had been ballot, there had been voting has been there. So it was a procedure for conducting the elections. So there had been a hope like that there will be now peace, but it was just a hope. It actually didn't it didn't come true. Such hopes, these were, you can say, turned to wall. Okay, so let's go down, please, Leo. Scroll down. But what actually we were talking about, the hopes. So the hope which people do have, which international community do have on Somalian government, that there will be peace. But actually what happened in the last Friday? But Friday's siege of an upscale hotel in the capital Mogadishu, at least 20 people were killed. So the author is trying to say that on what actually happened on Friday, that is siege. Siege means crackdown, like cordon off, security. Terrorists had cordoned off. They had cracked down on a hotel, which is a government hotel, where politicians and administrators and all the people, all the authorities with the helm of affairs, they used to have a meetup. They used to have a discussions in a particular hotel, and the same hotel had been attacked. Okay, the same hotel had been attacked by the terrorists. So the Friday's siege, I already told you, siege means crackdown, okay, of an upscale hotel. Upscale means very, you can say 5-star, 6-star, extra, some upgraded hotel in the capital. Somalia's capital is Mogadishu. Remember it. Mogadishu is the capital of Somalia. At least 20 people were killed. It's a grave reminder of the security challenge the country is facing. Okay, so it's a great challenge despite having the legitimate government, but still the government institution, you can say, although this maybe this hotel was hired and it was conventionally been occupied by the by the government officials, but this hotel had been actually attacked by the terrorists. So it's a reminder that actually Somalia, there is no peace, there is no order. These still the things are out of the control of the government. The government cannot control it. The author is actually trying to say. So it's a grave reminder of the security challenges the country is facing, despite the promises made by the new administration. Although I already made it clear that in the recent year, in the beginning of this year, there has been government formed. There has been constitutionally the president has been elected, the government has been formed, and the government of the day had given a promise to the people that there will be no peace, there will be no attacks now. But this had turned out to be a lie, white lie, you can say. Okay, so the author is trying to say that it's a grave reminder of the security challenge. Security challenge means when your security, even the security of the country, is not safe. It is somehow it is, there are leakages. Okay, reminder of the security challenges the country is facing, despite the promises made by the new administration of the president. Who is the president? Hassan Sheikh Mohammed. Hassan Sheikh Mohammed is the president who had made a declaration, official declaration. Now there will be peace. Now the situation is under control. Okay, to ideologically, financially, militarily defeat the violent extremists. So they had already made the declaration that we will not let extremists to dominate on the country or to create a public disorder or to create any kind of disharmony or crisis-like situation. But it had proved to be a lie. Okay. Armed militants stormed the hotel and took several civilians hostage. So here are some terms. Okay, armed militants. Militants are always armed. Okay, so armed militants stormed. Stormed means here attacked. Okay, stormed means when you say it's a very aggressive attack, you can word the use stormed. Stormed always it's a very aggressive kind of word where the situation is prima facie the situation is out of control. It's a very, you can say, violent attack, we can say. The hotel and took the several civilians hostage. What do you mean by hostage? Hostage is actually a person held in custody, a person or two or three persons held in custody for the fulfillment of condition. Means these extremists, means these terrorists, they do have some condition, so have put certain people in custody. Okay, in their you can say custody, so that they want actually they have some demands. So in order to fulfill their demands, they have put certain key officials in under custody. Okay, I will give you an example. How can you use the word hostage? For example, I will give you a line like, the gangster has put three people under hostage for demanding 1 lakh rupee from the parents. Means hostage means to put under custody and calling to the concerned people that just fulfill our demand. As we see mostly in movies, the villain, he puts some heroine or some hero under custody, calling the person concerned that give me 10 lakh rupees, then I will let her free, then I will release the victim. Okay, so this is the difference between custody and hostage. Custody actually means police is putting someone in custody, but they are responsible for their safety. Okay, but hostage means when you have something, you want to have something. It's hostage is mostly used in negative term, according to my knowledge. Okay, so let's go ahead. President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, to ideologically, financially, and militarily defeat violent extremists, armed militants stormed the hotel and took several civilians hostage before security personnel ended the siege about 30 hours later. Means it took 30 hours. This aggression, this I can say this attack, it was just for 30 hours, and 20 people had got killed, and many civilians had been put under hostage, as claimed by Al-Shabaab. And Al-Shabaab is the associated group of ally of, you can say, ally of Al-Qaeda. Okay, let's scroll down. Can you scroll down? Okay. This Al-Qaeda affiliated terror outfit, as I was already saying, which controls much of the southern and central part of Somalia. So where this Al Qaeda, affiliated terror group is more dominant, it is in the southern and central part of Somalia. Okay, has repeatedly targeted civilians and security personnel in the government controlled territories. So they had already told you already, they had taken undue advantage of the this mutual bickering among the clans. So they are more dominant in the central and southern part of Somalia, and they had already controlled the, you can say, territories. Means all the territory, these dominant, I can say, these southern and eastern parts, they are dominant. Actually, they are ruling over there, you can say. In recent years, despite international counter-terror measures means the opposite measures, that responded when something happened, that the international bodies are, under conventions, they are dutiful to take some countermeasures, because they had already undertaken to save the humanity. Okay, cutting across all countries, cutting across all religions, cutting across all communities. So international body don't have any religion. So wherever they find any humanitarian crisis, they have to interfere. Okay, so that is purpose of actually international bodies. That's the mandate of international organizations. So they had come up with counter measures. So Al Shabaab has grown in strength, cashing in on the humanitarian crisis in Somalia and security crisis in neighboring countries. So in the neighboring countries, so I already told you, I already made it clear that actually when you talk about Horn of Africa, it is already having certain issues. So if this Al Shabaab is becoming dominant in, you can say, dominant in Somalia, definitely its ramifications lies on these other countries, which do have, which are, you can say, which do have a same nature, which do have a same problem, same set of challenges. So these countries, the I can say, the neighborhood countries are getting the indirect, or you can say direct or indirect impact of this uncertainty in this, in Somalia. So let's scroll down. So these are some of the visuals you can have, just to have view in these visuals that how the things are actually going on. There is total strife, confusion, there is disorder, and armed, or I can say army, you can say personal army, personal paramilitary, personal whatever the security forces are informed. They are always in alert, and they are just searching out where these terrorists are, hiding. They're just laying a siege, they're laying a crackdown, cordoning off. They're trying to trace out these terrorists, and are ensuring the security and safety for the, you can say, the citizens of Somalia. So you can please. So Somalia is a country with almost, okay. According to 2020 report, so we have a report here. We have a statistic. Something is, when you talk about the report, it means something is being quoted. Okay, according to 2020 report, it collects more revenue than the government. So even no one knows where this revenue comes for these terrorists, how these organizations are run, what is the source of money, financial source, what is, even no one knows about it. Maybe there are certain units which are doing it with missionary zeal. They have their own plans and their own policies, their own conspiracies. We are not concerned about that. But here it is just written, the author tries to say, according to the 2020 report, it collects, I mean to say, Al Shabaab, or you can say Al Qaeda, it collects more revenue than the government. Means you can see the gravity of the situation, that how much strong financially they are. So that author is trying to highlight how much how much these terrorist groups are actually financially strong. According to the 2020 report, it collects more revenue than the government, has built one of the strongest terrorist machineries. And it is obvious, when you have financially, when you are financially sound, when you have some financial support behind, you will just, I can say, you can, become more stronger. Okay, so in the continent, and is now seeking expand its influence across the Horn of Africa. Horn of Africa, I will again repeat this. Horn of Africa, it contains the easternmost region of Africa. It contains 5 countries: Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Somalia. The way to remember these words is SEEDS, SEEDS. So this is obviously, when these 5 countries are already weak, I can say they are economically militarily weak. They have military problems. Actually, their defense sector is not so strong, and at the same time, these countries are mostly hit by the natural calamities. So, in such circumstances, such countries, such regions becomes the hotbed for these terrorists or these terrorist organizations. So, what terrorist knows, knows only to kill the people. So, it's as clear as it is. Okay, so they get more avenue, they get more opportunity just to expand and to create their own regime. Okay, so at the same time, they had already got a confidence, you can say, from Taliban and all other organizations, as everyone had witnessed. So here the term is like to fight for survival. Fight for survival. Okay, let's scroll down, please. There's some visuals also you can find here. You can just estimate that, you can assess, you can gauge the situation, actually the condition in Somalia and other allied countries. Okay, please scroll down. Okay, you can see the visuals that something, maybe they have something. These may be something seized, or you can say confiscated from the terrorist these activities. So they may be showing this or whatever, but you can see the personnel there, police personnel there. Okay, so let's go down. Please scroll down. This is the police. So Somalia has long been called a failed or fragile state. Failed or fragile state. Fragile, I already mentioned fragile, subtle, or you can say delicate. They are actually used as synonymous. Okay. So it's already, we know that due to its geographical factors, because it is very near to equator, it get natural calamities. At the same time, we do have some that groupism. There is mutual bickering among different clans, different sects for getting the power, getting the influence. So in such circumstance, it becomes itself a fragile, because it creates a disunity in the country. So definitely the other forces will interfere. So it has also seen one of the biggest failures of international counter-terror operations. Again, what international organization will do, how much they can do. Again, they have Iraq, they have Iran, they have other countries. Now Somalia is becoming one more headache. So recently USA had to quit. So how long they can go? So this is again becoming one more challenge for the international bodies, because all these dominant countries like USA, Britain, China, France, etc. They are actually holding the helms at international level. So no one actually want to take a risk by combating with these terrorist organizations. So again, it is becoming a challenge, and even it has been a blanket failure for the international organizations to cope up and handle the situation, to pacify these terrorist organizations. So here the author is actually trying to highlight that even international organizations had failed actually to handle, to control, or to pacify the situation, extreme situation. Okay, so civil conflicts in Somalia and can be traced back to the dictatorship of General Siad Barre. So this, whatever you are actually witnessing this time, civil strife, it is talking about now, the author is now just stressing on civil strife. What this civil strife, as I was mentioning, it is just the mutual, you can say the conflict between the clans finding their origin in the country. It's just war for getting influence, getting power, getting holding high ranks in the high, I can say, posts. Okay, so the author is actually here quoting about General Siad Barre, I think. Yeah, that was actually the name, General Siad Barre, I think. So he was actually the president of Somalia, and he was from Democratic Republic. His actually tenure was from, I think, 1969 to 1991. Actually, he was a dictator. Okay, he was a dictator at that time when he got into the regime. He did something. He just believed in the dictatorship, and he had actually followed, you can say, a Russian ideology, which as I think everyone knows, that they had socialism. Okay, that time there was a quiet peace, although he was a dictator, but he had tried to streamline the country, and he had, you can say, sometimes you can say there was dictatorship, there were entire at that time protests against him, he was unable to just curb that. You can say he was able to pacify those, these extreme voices. You can say voices against him. But at the same time, there was a peace because he was doing a good job. He was just following. He was implementing the socialistic ideas. But once sometimes he was actually, I think he was what's called exiled from the country. I'm not remembering the proper word. What is that's called? Banished, exiled from the country. But since that, you can say phenomena of these mutual fighting, etc., clan system, groupism, etc., this had again come to fore. But recently there had been elections. Okay, as you Muhammad Hasina, I was talking about, who's the new president. Elections have been now, the democratic setup is there, but still there is no tranquility, there is no peace, there is no public order. Okay, so the author is actually just quoting about still can be traced by the dictatorship of General Siad Barre, as Barre regime collapsed in 1991. Yes, what I was talking about, collapsed in 91. The country fell into the chaos and civil war. So again, civil war took place once Barre lost his power. Again, the system of that chaos disorder emerged up again, they are just fighting each other. Okay, let's scroll down. You can see one of the more visuals. There is an army man with rifle, and you can see how much alert he is, and this is the condition actually in Somalia. So let's go down, scroll down please. Since then, Somalia has seen several attempts to form a stable government, regional and international interventions to establish security. The author is trying to say that since 1991, and since General Siad Barre was ousted from the administration, since then the Somalia had been trying hard. Okay, it had been trying hard. It had been grappling to get some political setup, stable political setup, but it had failed. Although there has been international help, okay, assistance, international organization has been interfering, helping, advising, in every manner they had been trying to just put in place a more stable political step, but again failed, again failed. Since then, Somalia has seen several attempts to form a stable state and regional and international interventions to establish security, but none has proved successful. So there is a big zero. The result is big zero, you can see. Okay, Al-Shabaab emerged from this chaos, as I was saying, in the middle of this chaos, due to this civil fighting between these groups, civil war, groupism. In the middle, this Al-Qaeda related, this organization, Al-Shabaab had emerged. So it had taken undue advantage due to the disunity, you can say, due to the disorganization among the government, in the government itself. So they have provided a window opportunity to this organization, terrorist organization, to sneak into and just create a fuss, create a mess, create chaos. Okay. So, but none has proved successful. Al-Shabaab emerged from the chaos and went on to become what it is today. So today it is strong, as they have more finances than government. They have bottomless, you can say, pocket deep there. They have, you can say, deep pockets with money. Okay, they have some, you can say, some financial administration there. So they are more financially strong than the country. So you can imagine and assess and gauge the situation. Okay, the grave situation is there. Part of the problem is that the government's reach does not run in regime beyond the capital. The thing is that the situation is that the government is not able to pacify, to control the administration beyond its capital, what is called Mogadishu. So government has complete control only in capital. Beyond that, the country is all at risk. The country is all at, it's very vulnerable. It's at the verge of ruin. It's vulnerable. It is susceptible to the destruction. There is war. There is complete conflict. It has become a conflict zone. The author is actually trying to say the country is also witnessing a massive humanitarian crisis amid a severe drought. So again, I was talking about drought. It is a national calamity, as it is the country which is lying on the equatorial zone, due to which the drought and all other famines and all other these natural causes diseases are hit in this area. So that is one issue for the country. The second issue is that there is humanitarian crisis created by the unpens group called Al Shabaab, terrorist group called Al Shabaab. So these are even challenges for the country, for the administration of the day. Even this is the challenge for the international organization. Okay, so let's move down, and you can see some of the flags are being unfurled there. They're waving some flags. This may be out of agitation. This may be out of protest. That's to maintain peace, calm, and provide security and dignity to the humankind. So when you call about the humanitarian crisis, it is a crime against humankind. So it cuts across all countries, and international organizations, international bodies have already taken a promise, and it has been under the convention to safeguard, to protect, and preserve the rights and dignity of the humans. You cannot say the citizens, you can say the humankind. So anywhere humanitarian crisis there, but international
Hello,
organization.
good morning.
So you can scroll down, please. So as state institution remains fragile and dependent on the mercy of international donors, it's easy for the militants to retain their territorial fiefs. Fiefs, actually, I should say, it's an order like in which you can say society is built on the relationship and class. You can say it is like that in old times when there was someone who was king and his son was becoming king. That was all based on clan base. So same situation is in Somalia. As state institutions remain fragile. As state institutions means your government, your cabinet, your court, your other administrative institutions, they all remain fragile. Means they don't have any stability. They don't have any confidence that they can run it according to the rule. Okay, so that's called actually institutional fragility. As state institutions remain fragile and dependent on the mercy of international donors, means this country is it's sustaining on the mercy of international donors. Means IMF, other institutions are providing them funds, and they don't have their own policy, economic policy, taxation policy. That's all collapsed, as you all know, after having a review with this editorial page. So it's saying that it's due to this financial crisis, due to this financial crunch, due to this financial instability. Okay, these organizations, these terrorist organizations, again taking this gives them an extra edge to dominate, because they are financially strong. They are already financially strong. Okay, there are no magic bullets for Somalia woes. Woes actually means you can say woes actually means some worrying. Okay, it's woes. I do a lot of worries. I'm fed up with my woes. It means my worries. Okay, woes. Magic bullet is means something which is going to be, which we call as magic spell. You can say something magic happens. That's called a magic bullet. You can use sometimes. You can say sometimes if something happens, you can say, if for example you're playing cricket and some bowler is doing he's playing some good cricket, you can say he has a magic spell. Okay, magic means something which is which is all about sudden and it shocks everyone. Okay, so please scroll down. But to begin with, federal government in Mogadishu and its regional and international backers should have a comprehensive security and crisis response approach. So federal government, all that it's a system like when legislative, executive, judiciary, they get powers from the constitution itself. Okay, so but to begin with, federal government in Mogadishu, which is the capital of Somalia, and its regional and international backers should have a comprehensive security and crisis response approach. Is, if there is crisis, some authority is coming and it is coming with an response approach. For example, if there is, I will give you a more example. If there is some storm somewhere, then there is a response teams. Okay, response teams means which are meant to save the people, to take some preventive measures. Okay, that's called response team. So if there is some derangement somewhere or any trouble somewhere, then some authority comes. It comes with a response team. Okay, that's called a crisis response approach. Means the author is trying to stress on that the international organizations should come up with a response approach, and it should be more practical. It should be more up to the mark. It should be 1 degree up. Okay, so let's move. Let's do it now quickly. The government focus should be providing essential services, goods, and relief to the people, while at the same time establishing an effective and affordable security architecture through a broad-based political consensus. Broad-based political consensus means that the consensus means an agreement. Okay, consensus means an agreement between the between the political between the countries, Here actually author is trying, it should be broad based. It means all these stakeholders, you can say. And sometimes you have to talk with these terrorists so that in order to bring peace. So all countries should be on the common table to sort out the way so that this humanitarian crisis can be controlled and this issue can be sorted once for all. Okay, so author is trying. So comprehensive always means it means holistic. So I'm just telling you the comprehensive word is it means holistic. Okay, so for example, I will give you an example that government is now coming up with a comprehensive policy, comprehensive educational policy. Means it is holistic. It takes into consideration all the facets of the problem. Okay, that's called comprehensive. So the purpose here is that international organization come up with a comprehensive policy and provide relief, security, safety to the citizens of Somalia. So let's move further. Both state building and counter-terror organizations should be carried out side by side, and the international community should generously back Somalia in its fight for survival. So survival, for its living, for its life, for the good, you can say, for the future of this country. Both the international organization should come up with counter terror operations. Counter, I already told you the counter response, you can say, opposite the what government is actually taking the steps for controlling this, what international organizations are actually doing. So we have twin challenges now. One is state building, means restoring peace, restoring democracy, restoring constitution. At the same time, the other challenge is just to control these terrorists. So this is actually the meaning of this line. Okay, let's move. First of all, let's move down. I think it's all. I think, yeah, you can see the condition of these children. You can see it's quite pathetic. Both the building and both state building and counter. I have done it with. Yeah, you can see the condition here. It's totally, collapsed. Crisis is there. Kindly scroll down. It's all. I've done it. If there's anything left. Yeah, both state building and counter operations should be carried out side by side. It means all alongside. It means we have to adopt a balanced approach, an equilibrium. We have to just focus on state building, restoring democracy, legitimacy, fairness, and equality, and all other tenets of the constitution should be implemented at the same time to control these terrorist organizations like Al Shabaab, like Al Qaeda. So it's a huge challenge for every country, as we all are aware about this fact. I can say we are well versed. So please, can you scroll down now, Leo? Can you scroll down? Okay, he's joining.
Yeah, guys, I like to play the meditation song.
Yes, yes, please scroll down. Leo, if there is anything left. Yeah, so we have the tone of editorial. So what do you think? What was the tone of editorial? Mhm. Was it critical? Was it informative? Ronit, can you mute yourself? Ronit, Ronit, Siani, mute
Yes, sir.
yourself.
Hi, sir.
Mute yourself, please, for a while. Okay, so I was just talking about the tone of editorial. What was the tone of editorial according to? Was it informative? Was it fact based? Was it critical? So what do you think? What was it analytical? Anyone? Anyone? Well, I think it was for me. It was.
It is
Mm-hmm. Yes, Leo.
critical because authors
You are not audible. You can just switch off the camera now.
is
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
trying
depend.
to criticize
Yeah,
about all terrorists and other part of
Yeah. The approach was actually balanced because no one supports, you can say these terrorist organization. At the same time, it was saying that what actually there was actually there is civil war. Means itself, it's evaluating the political setup in, in Somalia. So it was loaded with critical evaluation for me. So you are exactly right. If anyone have other any, idea, you can just add it or want to just to have more knowledge on it if someone want to express his viewpoint on it because I hope everyone had understood the editorial page. Anyone? Yes, Demon.
yeah. I didn't reach the page of editorial. That's why I'm not able to answer what
Okay,
exactly going.
no problem. If someone want to speak on the, have his viewpoint, want to comment, whatever way. Yeah. So, by the way, I must here say that all sections actually this Hindu editorial page is uploaded in our YouTube channel. You can just switch to and listen to again, and you can subscribe. Your one subscription will, boost the confidence of our team. So, at the same time, we're just discussing today debate. It was all about, I mean, to say this editorial page. It was all about Somalia and with its challenges, political challenges. If someone want to express his point, his analysis, his ideas, he's most welcome to come forward and share with us.